Fire Force and Dr. Stone premiered on the exact same day within the exact same hour. But which one's better? Now, to begin off, let's start with the main characters. The first character that we're going to be comparing is Shinra from Fire Force. Now, for those of you that don't know, right, Shinra is sort of this like tragic, he more so fits the mold of your typical shonen MC. Now, that's not deducting points from his character, but I'm just going to put that out there as something that I came to notice. But one thing about Shinra, right, is the parts of him that fit the mold is the fact that he's this character who lost his family. He really wants to redeem his like missing family. He wants to find them and find out the truth about what really happened with his family. Now, with those basic characteristics, you can easily like name about 30 currently running shonen MCs right now. I don't hate Shinra, I just thought it was interesting how that kind of fits him. But deeper than that though, Shinra has this whole little deeper personality within him. Like when he learns more of the truth about his family being gone, and more so the truth of what truly happened to his mother and his brother, he doesn't like all of a sudden like just perk up as a character as like most shonen MCs would do, right? Like he doesn't just out of nowhere get this resolve of I'm gonna save my family, right? Like he's still depressed, and that's what that's one thing I truly like about Shinra, is because it feels like he has deeper and deeper layers to him, like an onion, as I've mentioned in past videos. Like a word I would use to describe Shinra, well, two words mostly, is a depressed optimist, okay? Because I don't know if I said that word right, but it's like optimistic, you know? And the reason I'm calling him a depressed optimistic person is because even when he finds out more and more on like how he's not able to save his family right now, he still continues to strive on that path of getting stronger. And I know you guys can easily say he's not like your basic MC. Well, like he is your basic MC because like how many shonen MCs do that? But I feel like the thing that's different about Shinra from Fire Force is that we genuinely get to see his depression, you know? Like we literally just see him just looking down sometimes, you know? Like we don't, it's not like a bunch of like one big moment that we just see him being sad. It's like over the course of the series we see him just genuinely sitting there like, man, I suck right now. I'm not strong enough to save my family, bro. And I think that's what makes like Shinra a really good main character, because we know no matter how many highs he has throughout the series is that he still feels human, as the fact that he's always gonna be wanting to get to the next goal after that, you know? Like he can always achieve something more, like achieve a different level of power, but at the end of the day, bro, he won't be happy until he either saves his family or he figures out the truth of what's really been going on this entire time. And I really think that's like a really cool part of Shinra. But this is not a Shinra character analysis. This is just me breaking down Shinra and who he truly was. Now on to Senku from Dr. Stone, right? Senku from Dr. Stone is a guy who literally lost everything, and he decided, you know what, I'm gonna build from the ground up. And I think this is where you can really compare like Shinra and Senku from Dr. Stone, because despite their circumstances, like they are adapting that mindset of keep moving forward. And that's something that I can truly respect about these two characters, because I know a lot of people that if they were in their situations, they would have probably folded under pressure, bro. And the thing about Senku, right, is he saw the whole world got corrupted and got like turned into stone, and he was like, you know what, bet, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna use my brain and use what I got and build the world from the ground up, right? And I think that's one of the coolest aspects about like Senku, is the fact that he didn't get depressed like Shinra, okay? Like I'm not saying it's wrong for Shinra to get depressed, but I like that whole mindset that Senku has, that even though everything is gone right now, it's up to me. I'm gonna rebuild the world. Like I'm gonna rebuild the world of science using everything possible, bro. Low key, when I be watching Dr. Stone, it be feeling like Senku giving me a full science lesson so I can pass chemistry class on Tuesday. And you know how like a couple minutes ago I described like Shinra as a depressed, like optimistic person? Well, I described like Senku as a straight up optimistic person, because like he's like logically optimistic, because he's like, you know what, even though the world is gone, you know, like I can it ain't no biggie. You know, I can really just redo the whole world. And he's doing it out of the pure fact that it's science. Like, that's what it's something that he would truly enjoy doing any day of the week. Like, Senku is definitely the type of person that, like, if the world got corrupted again right back after he just got done fixing it, he would be glad, he would be happy to redo it all over again, because he's just that optimistic about science, that optimistic about saving the world, bro. And even though Senku doesn't have any powers except for his brain, it feels like he's really a shonen MC, bro. He's really just that raw as anybody in shonen. Like, whether Deku getting a new power, like, I feel like Senku's on the same level as him, like, as soon as he discovers some new cure for medicine or whatever, bro. And like, that's why I think Senku is really cool as an MC, because despite his lack of powers, despite his like lack of fitting the shonen mold, like, he's still just as cool as any shonen MC that we have currently running. So for this round, I guess I will give it to Senku, but Shinra is really cool as well. Now, for the next and final parts of both series that we're comparing, we will be comparing the plots. Now, the plot of Dr. Stones is honestly the one that I find the most interesting here, because it's a very different plot from your typical shonen story. Because, like I mentioned in like the last part of like when I was comparing the main characters or whatever, like Dr. Stone, you really don't have any superpowers except for like the unnatural like green light that just so happened to petrify everybody, right? And the green light that petrifies everybody, it freezes over the entire world. And so when it freezes our modern day as we know it, right, our main character known as Senku is also frozen in time, and he kind of just like sits there like frozen in stone for like about 3,700 years, right? And so the plot of the story is Senku waking up after 3,700 years and realizing like the whole world has basically gone back to the Stone Age. Like, there's no technology, there's no computers, there's no planes, there's none of that, okay? And so Senku basically has to start from the ground up and build the whole world back to like where it once was. He's doing this all with basically the power of science. Like, there's no magic involved, none of that. He's doing this with pure chemical biology brain power, bro. But before I go even deeper into how much I like that, let's talk about Fire Force's. Fire Force's plot is a little bit more like unique. It's different, as I would like to describe it, right? Because while it leans a little bit closer towards the shonen plot, it's kind of like divvies away from that at the same time when it comes to how it's set up. Because the plot of Fire Force, right, is we have our main character known as Shinra, and he loses both his like mother and his like younger brother to a fire, right? And the thing about this world is like it's all based around fire, so it's kind of like a joke. You fight fire with fire. I thought that was kind of funny when I was watching the series for the first time. So after his like mother and little brother basically are like gone because of that fire, he decides to become a firefighter, right? And he becomes a firefighter in order to help extinguish the same flames that he supposedly thought killed his mother and little brother, and to discover the truth about what's really going on with the fire. So it's almost like this detective firefighter sort of show. And thing is though, everybody has like different ways of fire that they use to fight. So you can be a first generation, a second generation, or a third generation. It's too much to go into because you have to give a detailed explanation about how each generation works. But all you need to know is that our main character Shinra fights fires using his feet. So literally the fire that he uses to fight other fires comes out of his feet, and that's how he like fights. Like, it's pretty interesting to me because like it's kind of rare that we get a main character that kind of like specializes in kicks and like kind of specializes in like the whole fighting style that like where he basically just doesn't use his hands at all, you know? And I like that whole thing about how Shinra is basically trying to take down all these secret organizations that led to him to get to the state where he is now, right? But in comparison to like Dr. Stone's like plot or whatever, right, I do feel like Fire Force doesn't make a big enough use of like the world that it has currently going, because this was kind of like the same like problem I had with Soul Eater, right? It feels like once like the main villain is defeated, like the world is just over with, right? Like, what else can you really do when you defeat the Evangelists, right? Like, is that just gonna be it for the Fire Force, like for the firefighters and all that, all these people that have jobs all across the world from being like firefighters that use fire to fight? Like, what's gonna happen to them once Shinra finally finds out what happened to his little brother and his mother and defeats the Evangelists, finds out who's been creating like these fire monsters that they have to fight, you know? And that's one thing I really don't like about Fire Force. Like, Fire Force overall is an exciting show with tons of action, and the plot, like the way they use it is like this detective firefighter sort of show. It's interesting and all, but it's the whole thing is like, what can you really do once we get to the end of the show, right? And that's just my personal nitpick, because my whole thing is I really like to see what a show can do going forward after the main series is ending. Like, I feel like when you're a writer is like a show or whatever, once you create a world, I feel like it's important for you to have that world still be able to continue even after your original work is done. So like, maybe you can get a spin-off or whatever. I'm not saying that's necessary, but I do like the fact that kind of relates to real life, like how when you complete your main objective, the world is still going to keep moving forward no matter what. And that's the thing I kind of prefer, like, about Dr. Stone, is even though like Senku may grow up and get old or whatever by the time the world is complete, like, I feel like there's still something going forward that's gonna have to be looked into, right? Because like, I feel like the world is still gonna have to look back and remember, like, dang, what happened with that green light? Dang, like, how did this one kid build up the whole world from scratch just by like his brain, you know? Like, that's kind of what I prefer about Dr. Stone, is I feel like there's more of an open world, and I like that they did expand it with there being like tribes that were formed as a result of, like, you know, the world going back into the Stone Age, and it wasn't just Senku that only woke up. Like, I like that the world feels bigger than just our main characters, right? And Fire Force has the potential to reach like that level, but I just feel like it's not being made enough use of it as of right now, right? Like, I feel like that could obviously change going into season 3, but as of right now, bro, just for me, it feels a little bit minuscule, but I do still like it. Now, that goes on for me to say that I honestly do want to give this round to Dr. Stone, because I feel like the world has so much more to offer than just, like, you know, once the firefighters are done, you know, like, nobody else is gonna, like, there's gonna be no objective once we defeat the Evangelists and figure out who's been turning all these people into fires, you know? I hate to sound a bit biased, but I honestly feel like overall Dr. Stone is the better series, as in regards to world building, as in regards to plot, how they handle certain characters. And then again, Senku doesn't have any power, so there's not as much to work with as you could with like Shinra giving him power-ups or whatever. Like, you can't give Senku a power-up for his brain. He's already dead serious the smartest person on the planet. And honestly, that's why I feel like in both rounds, in main characters and in plot, overall Dr. Stone does win, but Fire Force is also good as well. Like, this is honestly one of the easiest comparisons I've done, because honestly, like, I'm not saying like Fire Force isn't as quality, but it's not as quality, okay? And I'm a pizza, so I'm obviously good at judging quality, you know? So I feel like you guys should trust my opinion on this. But that's all I really had to say. Dr. Stone takes this one 2 rounds out of 2, you know? But until next time, my name is Time Pizza, and I will see you pizza people later. Peace.